Have you seen any good movies this past year? Well, one of my favorites, I think, for the year is the one called Don't Look Up. It's in the top 10 on Netflix right now. I saw it a few weeks ago, and I really enjoyed it. It was it was funny, it was scary, it was profound, and I think it's got a chance for the Academy Award. If there is going to be an Academy Award, I guess there is. And I think it's got a chance. I was talking to a friend about it, and she said, well, people I know either really love it or they hate it. I thought, well, that's interesting. So I thought I would talk about it today, some of the lessons that we can get from it. Now, someone may wonder, why choose a movie to give a spiritual lesson on? Well, I believe, and Unity teaches, that truth is inside of all of us, that truth is in you, that we see in life, we can see in life from a spiritual perspective. And so you can read lessons. You can get lessons from a movie. You can get spiritual lessons from people. You can get spiritual lessons from nature. You can get lessons from ancient scripture. But the truth is inside of us. The Old Testament says the law is written in your heart. So to me, that means spirit inside of me can help me learn from everything. So let me give you a brief summary for those of you who haven't seen it. And those of you who had, we get on the same page. I'm curious, how many of you have seen the movie Don't Look Up? Okay, we got a few people in here in the space. Have you seen it online? Let us know. Let us know if you've seen it. So what's happening is there's a scientist and professor at the University of Michigan, and one of his students, who's a PhD, getting her PhD, he's a professor of astronomy, and the student is looking at this huge telescope, looking out in space, and what they discover is that there is a comet headed toward the Earth. And it is 5 to 10 kilometers wide. It's like Mount Everest headed toward the Earth. And that is what they call a planet killer event. If it hits the planet, it will destroy life. Well, that's a happy message on a Sunday morning, isn't it? I think I read in the paper a number of weeks ago that we have scientists who are constantly monitoring that kind of a thing, actually, to see what, make sure there's nothing headed toward the planet that we don't want headed toward the planet. So these scientists are flown to Washington, D.C. immediately because of the urgency of this matter. And they're ushered into the President of the United States, into her presence, played by Meryl Streep. Well, she is so caught up in the scandal of a nominee for the Supreme Court that she's not even interested in hearing about this comet headed toward the Earth. It's not her priority. It's not her world. She's concerned about the upcoming midterms. She's concerned about this nominee and how it makes her look and so on and so forth. So the scientists, played by Jennifer Lawrence and also other famous actor, one of my favorites, his name's not coming to mind, but I love him. And I'll call you at 2 a.m. tonight and let you know. Anyway, anybody know his name here in the space? Leonardo DiCaprio. Thank you. Yes, Leonardo DiCaprio. So, what do? They say, well, the president's not listening. We're going to go to the media. We're going to go to the masses. We're going to let people know that there's a comet. It's going to hit the Earth in 6 months and 14 days. And we've got to do something about it. The president's not listening. We've got to do something about it. Listen up, people. Well, so they get booked on a top talk show with Kate Blanchett and Tyler Perry playing these talk show hosts. And guess what? The talk show hosts want to keep everything light. They don't want to talk about bad news of a comet headed toward the planet. You know, let's keep it light. Let's make it fun. Our audience, you know, they want to please their audience. Their audience wants to feel good. The audience wants a distraction. They don't want to be thinking about bad news like a comet coming toward the planet. So I think that's a really interesting thing, because the president, the talk show hosts, they're not seeing the forest from the trees, so to speak, right? They're not willing to see things as they are. And that's the first point I want to make. Seeing things as they are. Not seeing things from my ego, which sees things from how I hope things are, how I wish things would be, how I don't want things to be the way they are, I want them to be this way, seeing things from a perspective of what benefits me, what, you know, all ego stuff, instead of seeing things as they are. And so the question is, the President of the United States in the movie is caught up in what's urgent. She's caught up in the whirlwind. She's caught up in what's happening, the minutia happening in her life. Now, to her, it's big, but missing what's important, the big picture, which is, if a comet hits the planet, there aren't going to be midterms. If the comet hits the planet, your life is over. The talk show hosts worried about, let's make it light, let's keep our ratings up, let's please the audience. Well, if a comet hits the planet, you're not going to have a talk show. So I think the message is, are we caught up? Do we get caught up in the whirlwind of the urgencies of things and miss what's important? Do we miss what's important? For example, someone can get so caught up in working. Hopefully they got work and they're working, that they don't take care of their bodies. They don't get enough rest. They don't get enough exercise. They don't take care of themselves. They don't eat properly. And so they kill the golden goose, right, that lays the golden eggs. If you don't take care of the goose, you don't get golden eggs. Getting caught up in the urgency and not keeping things that are important, right? Where in our lives do we get caught up in the urgent and don't see the bigger picture of what's important? We got to make time for the important. We got to make time. We also got to take care of the whirlwind and the urgent. But we want to take time for what's important. Jesus said, seek first. See? He prioritized things. Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Seek that first, and all other things will come unto you. So that's a message. See things as they are, so that we can deal with them. Paramahansa Yogananda used to say at the end of every day, look at your day and think about, what could I have done differently? How could I behave differently? What are some ways I could have lived this day differently? That's looking at things as they are and learning from it. Another point is, ask, what's trying to happen here? What's trying to happen here? In the movie, the president at first wasn't interested in the comet, but then when a scandal enters her life, now she realizes she needs a distraction. She needs somehow to get people's attention off of her scandal, and so now she's interested in the comet. Now she wants to do something about the comet. Now she sees an opportunity to make herself a hero. Let's save the planet Earth. She's really thinking about her elections, her midterms, and all that, but now she can make herself a hero and rescue the planet. Okay? So she gets caught up in another scientist, businessman's interest in the comet, which is to mine the valuable minerals out of the comet before it hits the planet. He wants to get the resources out of the planet and then blow the comet up before it hits the planet. And here's the deal. Because of greed, because of arrogance, they think they can mine the comet and they're going to exclude all the other nations from helping to stop the comet. So they're going to risk the life of planet Earth for monetary gain and exclude everyone else from trying to help them. So the greed and the arrogance of, oh yeah, we can destroy this comet and we're going to get something out of it before it hits the planet. And we're going to get all the benefit and exclude everyone else from it. So the question, what's trying to happen here, is one that gets us out of our ego, out of our limited point of view, and opens us up to what is Spirit trying to do in this situation? What is the highest good in this situation? That's not what they're doing, right? They're not doing that. They're coming from what's in it for me. How's this going to benefit me? How's this good for me? They're not thinking about what's good for the whole planet. They're not thinking about how's this going to impact other people. They're just interested in what's in it for me. Now, how do we learn from that? We can learn from that by going, do I ask the question, what's trying to happen here in my work? Do I ask the question, what's trying to happen here in my relationships? Do I ask the question, what's trying to happen here in the community? What is Spirit seeking to do in this situation? Or do I ask, what's in it for me? How does this just benefit me? What do I get out of it? There's nothing wrong with that question, of course. We're saying the expanded question, what the spiritual person asks, is not my will but thine be done, which might actually be what you want, but how does it impact everyone else? How do my words and actions impact the relationship I'm in? Or am I just coming from what I want? What about the other person? What do they want? What do they need? What's good for them? Or we're just asked, well, this is what I want to do. Well, how does it impact everyone else? How is it good for everyone else? I'm reminded of a story Yogananda told, well, actually, his disciple told, Donald Walters, a.k.a. Swami Kriyananda, told a story about when he was a monk at Yogananda's ashram, which means a place of spiritual growth. Yogananda said to him, I think we're going to I'd like to take a trip to India, and I'd like you to come with me, but I'm still praying about it. I'm checking with Divine Mother about whether we should go now or not. So don't say anything to anyone. So Swami Kriyananda didn't say anything to anybody. And another monk, a senior monk who was older, had been there longer, he came to Kriyananda and sort of hinted that he knew about the possibility of the trip. And so Kriyananda just started talking about it. Yeah, we're going to plan to go and this month and blah, blah, blah. Well, that senior monk had tricked Kriyananda. He suspected that this might be happening, but he didn't really know. He tricked Kriyananda. So he went back to Yogananda. Oh, why are you going to India without me? Why can't I go to India? Da, 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 da. So what did Yogananda do? He went back and he said, we're not going. Divine Mother has told me this is not the time to go to India. What's the point? The point is not that you got to please everyone else, but if what we're considering doing is bringing up a lot of drama around us, then it may not be Spirit's will. It may not be what's trying to happen here. Our impact on other people does matter. So anyway, that's one way of looking at what's the expanded vision. What is trying to happen here? Yogananda felt, no, this is not the time to go. It's just not. And I'm seeing why through this reaction to what's happening. So, asking what's trying to happen here. One more example. Years ago, when I was living in California, I was part-time speaker at a religious science church. And this religious science church was going through board elections, board of trustee elections. And they were divided. There was a conflict. The people running for the board were in a conflict because one group was upset with this other guy who decided to run for president at the last minute. And they were worried that he would get elected and their candidate wouldn't get elected in a church, ladies and gentlemen. Right? Why? Because everybody has an ego. And it doesn't matter where you are. You deal with ego. You hope everyone's willing to ask what's trying to happen here, but they're not. And so they asked me to help with this conflict going on. And I told them, I think you all should join a synagogue, become Jewish. No, I didn't. I'm glad someone laughed here. No, that's not what I said. So I met with their president at the time, and I suggested that he ask the question, what's trying to happen here? What's trying to happen in this situation? And in other words, it got him out of the mindset of what do I want to happen, what I'm trying to do, and it got him into the mindset of what is Spirit trying to do? What is trying to happen in this church? What is the highest good for everyone? And it had to start with someone, and he got into that perspective. And he said that was the key that shifted the whole thing. It shifted the conflict because people got out of their egos, at least one person, and it started to spread. What's trying to happen here? So that's a lesson. See things as they are. Ask what's trying to happen here. And trust your perspective. Trust your perspective. Someone said, when you trust yourself, you trust the wisdom that created you. And I really think maybe a lot of people don't trust themselves. So consequently, they look to other authorities to tell them what to think and what to do. Dr. Wayne Dyer, in his book, The Sky's the Limit, which he wrote many, many years ago, in it, he talks about authoritarianism. And at the time when I read it, I thought, authoritarianism is a leader that tells everybody else what to do and everybody listens to the leader or whatever, that kind of a thing. And Wayne Dyer pointed out that it's not just the leader who tells everyone what to do, but the people who listen to that leader are also authoritarians. They're part of that whole system, you see. Why do people do that? Because they don't trust themselves, I think. They want someone else to tell them what to think, how to do, how to behave, etc. And I think that can be dangerous. And so I think it's important that people trust that there's a wisdom, a guidance inside of them. Job said, there's a spirit in man that gives him understanding. There's a spirit in people that gives them understanding. And when we connect with the source inside of us, I believe we're in tune with a wisdom, with a guidance. We're in tune with one of our powers, which is the good judgment. Solomon had good judgment, right? He was able to discern what was true. There's a story of Solomon where two women come to court, and he's a judge, and they're fighting over whose child this is. So Solomon says, okay, I have the answer. Cut the baby in half, and each of you can have half of the child. And one of the women pipes up and, no, she can have the child. And then he knew that was the mother, because she cared more about the child. He had discernment. He had understanding. He had wisdom from spirit. That was the gift he asked God to give him. Not riches, not this, not that, but understanding. And from his understanding, all good came into his life. See, he was able to trust his judgment. And I believe it's important that we trust our judgment to think for ourselves when we look at what's going on in the world, when we look at what people say. I don't care what their position is, whether they're a politician or whether they're a religious leader or whatever they are. I don't care. What do you think? What are you observing? What do you feel inside your heart about what's going on? Because I believe a lot of people are greatly influenced by other people's opinions and other people's thoughts, and that's a message in this movie. Because what happens is, eventually, everybody's ignoring the scientists. Everybody's ignoring what they say about the comet. So finally, it gets close enough to where they can see it in the sky headed toward the earth. Now people are believing. Now they're like, oh no, there is a comet. What are we going to do about it? And then there's a whole camp over here, the president included. The president and the scientists that are going to mine the comet, take the riches, use the riches, and they're telling everybody, they're having rallies saying, don't look up. Don't look up at the comet. They just are trying to get you to be afraid. They want you to be afraid. Listen to us. Pay attention to us. Don't look up. Who are you going to listen to? You going to listen to the president in the movie, that camp? Or are you going to look up and see the comet with your own eyes and go, that is a comet, and it's headed toward the planet. And if we don't do anything, we're going to die. And can we trust what that camp is telling us? I think it's very important. My mother used to say this to me when I would read something or I'd watch something. She would say to me, well, understand the source. Understand who's telling you that message. Do you know anything about the author? Do you know anything about the speaker? Where are they coming from? Look at the source. And I think that's important for us as individuals, to look at the source. Who are we listening to? What is their background? What are their credentials? Are they trustworthy? And what does our common sense tell us? You know, common sense is not common practice. What does our common sense tell us? Now I'm stepping on tricky waters here. When I was, this past week, I went to Arizona for a couple days. The Valley, I think they call it the Valley. It's the Phoenix area. Beautiful weather. Those of you in New York, I was playing golf a few days ago. 72-degree weather. cactuses. I felt like I was playing golf in the Old West. It was fun. And anyway, I would wear my mask. Why? Because science shows that masks can help prevent the spread of COVID. Does COVID exist? Anybody? Is there really a virus going around of infecting people, or is it made up? Who are you going to listen to? What do your eyes tell you? What does your common sense tell you? It tells me people are getting sick and dying from something going around. That's what it tells me. What do the scientists say? They say a mask helps prevent its spread. In my heart and in my observation, that's a fact. It's not arguable. What are we listening to? Who are we listening to? What is their background? What is their track record? So I'm in Arizona and I'm wearing a mask. People aren't wearing masks in Arizona, at least not the places some of them do. But at one point I walked into a Mexican restaurant with my mask on. I didn't care what people thought. I walked in with my mask on. The restaurant was packed. Nobody wearing a mask. Well, they're all vaccinated. That's fine, they're all vaccinated, but you can still spread it. I think, based on science, what scientists are you listening to? I'm listening to scientists who are credible. So I say, do you have takeout? You have takeout in this restaurant? Yes. So I go around the corner to the takeout part, and I'm standing there waiting for my food with my mask on. And I see another lady come in, and she's got a mask on. And I say to her, I say, are you from around here? She said, yes, I'm from around here. I said, I just went in a restaurant, and nobody has a mask, and it's packed. She's like, I know it is. She said, I work in a hospital here in Phoenix. And surgeries are being canceled because people are getting COVID and they can't have the surgeries. She says, that's why I'm wearing a mask. That's why I'm not in that restaurant, because it's real, it's happening. I said, I don't get it. I don't understand it. We know it's being spread even by vaccinated people. I don't understand the not wearing masks. She said, I don't either. And then she said, and here, well, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at that. She said, I don't either. And again, for me, and I may be wrong. I may be wrong. Now, that's a phrase, that's classic Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I may be wrong. And then I'm going to say, it seems to me, which is classic Benjamin Franklin, who early in his life people avoided because he was so argumentative and he had to be right about everything. I may be wrong, but it seems to me that there is something that gets spread that does kill people, and a mask helps keep it away. And the virus ain't Republican, and it ain't Democrat. It's a virus. And it travels. And masks aren't Republican, and they're not Democrat. They're masks that scientists say help prevent the spread. It's common sense to me. What do you think? Not what does some website think, not what does some guy with power or money or who else thinks, or a position. What do you think? Feel free to comment below. Let us know what you think. So this movie kind of makes that point, that people aren't looking up because somebody else tells them don't look up. And then others are looking up, but it's too late. So, see things as they are. Ask what's trying to happen here. Trust your own perspective. And lastly, appreciate what you have now in your life. So once that comet is definitely going to hit the planet, now people have a choice. They have a choice. How are they going to live their last moments? And I love a quote that they flash up on the screen. It's a quote from Jack Handy, the comedian. It says, "I want to die peacefully in my sleep like my grandfather, not screaming in terror like his passengers." You get it? Like his passengers. He fell asleep at the wheel, flying the plane. I love that line. I'm weird like that. But anyway, so these people have to decide, how are we going to live the last hours of our life with this comet that's going to hit the planet? And in the movie, they're showing you all the beauty on planet Earth, in contrast to the fact that it's all going to end. And you see, wow, look how beautiful planet Earth is. And there's a line by Leonardo DiCaprio, Dr. Mindy. What does he decide to do? How does he decide to spend his time? Well, the scientists all get together and they join his family. And they decide, we're going to have dinner together. We're going to express appreciation for the planet, for life, for one another. And Dr. Mindy makes a statement. He says, we really did have it all, didn't we? We really did have it all. And to me it says, we have so much in our life, even with all the problems, with all the challenges. You know, we have so much. We have life. We have the gift of life. And no matter what's happening around us, we still are here. We can still breathe. We can still love. We can still pray. We can still meditate. We can still laugh. We can still express love and appreciation. No matter what happens, we have life. And it puts everything in perspective. If you think a comet's headed toward the planet, it helps put everything else in perspective, doesn't it? You know, when you realize that in 6 months everybody's going to die because of a comet, it puts everything in perspective. Here's the point. You're going to die. Here's the point. In our short lifespans, it's like living 6 months. It's like 6 months. Question is, what are you doing with your life? What would you do that last few hours if you knew you had only a few hours to live, or you knew you only had 6 months to live? How would you be living your life? The point is, don't wait. Start doing more of that now. Start living more of that now. Living what's important. Doing the things that bring you joy. Doing them now. Don't wait. Let's get still for a moment. And we acknowledge that Spirit is active in and through us, that we are surrounded and enfolded and infilled by this presence of love and light. And we're grateful for the gift of now, and the gift and the ability to learn lessons from those around us, to learn lessons from life, and to tune in to your presence, Father, Mother, God, your presence of peace, your presence of love, your presence of joy, and your presence of strength, so that we can live a life of courage and of faith, and that we can live a life of meaning, of purpose, make a difference, and that we can enjoy this wonderful journey of life. And so it is. Amen. I'd like to thank our musicians today. They were awesome. Annie Sims and Matthew Wilson. And I want to remind you that next Sunday, we're going to do a seminar following the service at 1 o'clock. What is unity? Will be part 1. And then the second part is becoming a member. If you want to be a member this year, you attend both parts. If you don't care about being a member, you can just attend one or both parts, doesn't matter. But it is a requirement if you do want to become a member. So I hope you'll participate in that. So please join me now in affirming the prayer for protection. Together, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Amen. God bless you. Namaste.